what if I told you that every act of kindness, every moral choice, every moment of goodness comes with a price so steep that most men dare not pay it? You clicked on this video because something inside you suspects that virtue is not the simple path we were taught as children. You sense there is a darker truth lurking beneath society's golden promises about being good. Today, we shall strip away the comfortable lies and examine what Machiavelli truly understood about the shocking cost of goodness, a truth so unsettling that it has been buried for centuries. By the end of this analysis, you will never look at moral choices the same way again. Consider this carefully. Goodness, when carried without balance, becomes nothing more than an invitation to exploitation. The man who is known to be endlessly forgiving, endlessly generous, endlessly kind, he believes he wins favor, but in truth, he is painting a target on his own back. For when others know you will not resist, they are emboldened to strike without fear. Think of the man who never refuses. His friends call upon him, his family demands from him, his colleagues lean on him, and he, eager to appear virtuous, gives and gives until nothing remains. What begins as respect quickly transforms into dependence and then into disregard. People no longer admire his goodness, they expect it. They no longer thank him for his sacrifices, they demand them as though they were their right. Thus, goodness turns not into strength, but into a weakness that chains him. The predator sees the sheep that does not fight back. The ambitious see the rival who refuses to retaliate. The manipulator sees the servant who is too polite to say no. In every case, it is not the wolf who suffers, but the sheep who imagines that his gentleness will keep him safe. But safety is not built on virtue. It is built on strength. The good man, blinded by his own desire to be seen as noble, cannot see that he has become vulnerable. Observe history. Rulers who clung to goodness above all else were overthrown by men of ambition. Leaders who hesitated to act ruthlessly were devoured by rivals. Even in the common man's life, the pattern repeats. The worker who never questions, who always obeys, who stays silent in the face of injustice, is not rewarded with honor but passed over, ignored, and exploited. The lover who gives endlessly without boundaries is not cherished, but taken for granted. The friend who never refuses a favor is not loved, but drained until his spirit is broken. Goodness without limits becomes a form of servitude. And yet, the tragedy is that such men believe their goodness will save them. They say, if I am loyal, others will be loyal to me. If I am generous, others will give back. If I am kind, the world will repay my kindness. This belief is the greatest of all illusions. Men are not bound by such laws of reciprocity. They are selfish, ungrateful, and quick to forget. They take what is given, and when more is demanded, they turn their eyes elsewhere, as though the one who sacrificed everything owes them still more. A ruler who is too merciful invites rebellion. His subjects learn that his punishments are light, his threats empty, his justice slow. They lose fear of him, and once fear is gone, so too is obedience. Likewise, a man in private life who forgives every insult, who endures every disrespect, who responds to cruelty with silence, soon discovers that others no longer treat him as an equal but as a tool. They use him until nothing is left, and when he is broken, they discard him without hesitation. Understand this well in the eyes of others. Your goodness does not make you untouchable. It makes you accessible. It does not protect you from attack. It tells your enemies that you will not strike back. And in a world where power belongs to those who dare, the one who hides behind goodness alone becomes nothing more than prey. To be good without strength is to be harmless, and to be harmless in a ruthless world is to be doomed. Men often deceive themselves with the belief that righteousness alone commands respect. They imagine that if they are pure in heart, honest in dealings, and unshakable in fairness, the world will honor them for it. But look closely at the annals of history, and you will find that it is not the righteous who are crowned with glory, but the ruthless who are remembered. the names carved into marble monuments, the figures painted across palace walls, the leaders who bent nations to their will. They were not saints. They were men who understood that power respects force, not virtue. The righteous man may win the admiration of poets, but the ruthless man wins the obedience of armies. One writes stories, the other writes destiny. Consider the man who clings to righteousness in a world where others claw for advancement. He restrains himself, plays fair, shows mercy, refuses to deceive. But beside him stands the ruthless man who bends the rules, strikes swiftly, seizes what he desires without apology. Who, then, is more feared? Who is more respected? Who rises? The answer is always the same: the ruthless ascends, while the righteous is trampled underfoot. Do not misunderstand. This is not to say that righteousness has no value, but that righteousness alone is powerless without strength. For men obey not because of goodness, but because of necessity. A man who is feared compels obedience. A man who is merely admired inspires no action. Fear moves armies, admiration does not. Fear secures loyalty, admiration does not. Fear protects a throne, admiration never will. When a ruler governs by virtue alone, he leaves himself exposed to betrayal. His subjects may admire his purity, but in their secret thoughts, they despise his softness, for people are fickle. They will praise his fairness with their lips, while plotting against him in their hearts. But when a ruler governs with a mixture of ruthlessness and calculated virtue, the people obey him not out of love, but out of necessity. They understand that defiance has consequences. They understand that loyalty is not optional, but survival. Look at the great figures who shaped the world. The Roman generals who expanded empires did not hesitate to shed blood. The kings who secured their thrones did not hesitate to silence rivals. Even in quieter times, the merchants who built dynasties did not rise through kindness, but through cunning bargains, relentless ambition, and merciless competition. The world remembers them because they dared to be more than righteous. They dared to be ruthless when the moment demanded it. And in the daily lives of ordinary men, the pattern holds true. The worker who is endlessly loyal but never asserts his value is overlooked, while the bolder, more demanding man ascends. The friend who always sacrifices, who is endlessly available, is not respected but taken for granted, while the one who draws lines, who dares to say no, commands authority. The lover who bends endlessly, who yields at every turn, is not cherished but eventually despised, while the one who mixes affection with strength is pursued and obeyed. The shocking truth is this: the world does not reward the righteous unless they also wield power. A man who is only good will be admired at best, but a man who is ruthless when required will be both feared and obeyed. Admiration fades quickly, but fear secures loyalty. For men do not always love the one who treats them fairly, but they will always remember the one they cannot afford to cross. This is why the pursuit of righteousness, while noble, is insufficient in the arena of power. Men who cling to it blindly discover that others are willing to betray them without hesitation, for goodness alone carries no shield. The ruthless man, however, anticipates betrayal and crushes it before it blooms. He does not wait to be struck, he strikes first. He does not ask to be respected, he enforces it. And in this, he secures not just his place in history, but his survival in a world that worships power over purity. Mercy, when balanced with justice, can be a powerful tool. It can win hearts, secure loyalty, and inspire gratitude. But mercy without boundaries, mercy without measure, becomes poison. For a ruler, for a leader, or even for an ordinary man, excessive mercy creates the very disorder it seeks to prevent. Men imagine that if they forgive every offense, if they excuse every insult, if they pardon every betrayal, they will earn respect and devotion. Yet what they earn instead is contempt. Mercy that knows no limit is not seen as kindness, it is seen as weakness. When a ruler spares those who plot against him, he does not win their loyalty. He teaches them that rebellion has no consequence. When a leader forgives negligence or treachery, he does not inspire gratitude. He signals that failure is safe, that betrayal is tolerated, and that his commands carry no weight. And when this lesson spreads among his subjects, order begins to unravel. Mercy, in excess, breeds defiance. It whispers to the disobedient, "You may act as you please, for punishment will not touch you." Consider a city governed by a ruler too merciful to enforce the law. Criminals grow bold. Knowing their punishments will be light, citizens lose faith, for justice is absent. Soon, the very fabric of the city tears apart, not because its ruler was cruel, but because he was too forgiving. A ruler who refuses to punish wickedness allows wickedness to multiply until the state itself collapses. Thus, mercy without severity is not virtue. It is surrender. Even in private life, the same law holds true. The man who forgives every insult does not rise in esteem. Instead, others grow accustomed to treating him with disrespect, for they know he will endure it silently. The partner who accepts every betrayal in the name of love does not preserve the relationship. They destroy it, for betrayal repeated and excused only multiplies until love is buried under disdain. The employer who tolerates laziness in his workers does not earn their loyalty. He loses their respect, and the entire enterprise crumbles under disobedience. Mercy, in excess, corrodes all bonds, whether of love of work or of governance. To show mercy is to wield a dangerous weapon. In the hands of the wise, it can pacify anger, turn enemies into allies, and give hope to the oppressed. But in the hands of the foolish, it creates chaos, for men do not learn from unlimited forgiveness. They take it as permission. They say to themselves, "If he forgives me once, he will forgive me again. If there is no punishment today, there will be none tomorrow." In this way, mercy without balance breeds arrogance in those who should have been humbled. Think of the general who spares captured traitors. He believes his mercy will inspire them to fight loyally under his banner. Instead, they desert at the first chance, emboldened by the knowledge that betrayal carries no price. Think of the prince who pardons conspirators, hoping to show his generosity. Instead, he is murdered by the very men he spared, for they saw in him not greatness, but softness. And think of the leader who refuses to discipline his men, believing that kindness will bind them. Instead, they lose discipline altogether, and the army disintegrates before it meets the enemy. Excessive mercy confuses order with indulgence. True order requires that men know both the possibility of reward and the certainty of punishment. To forgive endlessly is to erase the boundaries that hold society, families, and kingdoms together. Without those boundaries, loyalty dissolves, discipline collapses, and authority vanishes. Mercy without justice is like a sword without an edge. It looks noble, but it cuts nothing, defends nothing, preserves nothing. Those who lean only on mercy believe they are building harmony. In reality, they are preparing the ground for chaos. They are feeding the very forces that will rise up and destroy them, convinced all the while that their compassion is strength, when it is nothing more than an invitation to disorder. Goodness, when it is unguarded, blinds men to the world as it truly is. The good man walks through life believing that others share his honesty, his loyalty, his sense of fairness. He imagines that what he gives will return to him in equal measure. If he is loyal, they will be loyal. If he is generous, they will be generous. If he is kind, they will be kind. But this is not reality. This is a dream, a fantasy that the ruthless are more than happy to exploit. For in truth, men are fickle. They love while it is convenient, but abandon when it is costly. They speak of loyalty, but their loyalty ends the moment self-interest demands it. They admire honesty when it benefits them, but they despise it when it exposes them. The man who clings to goodness, blind to the nature of others, lives not in the real world but in a false one. And in this false world, he is defenseless. Imagine the ruler who believes his subjects will remain loyal simply because he treats them with fairness. He distributes wealth, forgives mistakes, shows mercy. He convinces himself that their gratitude will protect him. But the moment an ambitious rival offers them more wealth, more power, more opportunity, those very subjects will abandon him without hesitation. His goodness blinds him to the truth. Loyalty bought by kindness is fragile, easily broken by self-interest. Or consider the friend who always trusts, always believes, always forgives. He assumes his kindness is returned. But behind his back, others mock his naivety. They know he will not see betrayal, because his goodness blinds him to deceit. They use him, take from him, drain him, until nothing is left. And when he finally discovers the truth, it is too late. He has lost years, opportunities, and strength because he chose to believe the world was as honest as himself. Goodness blinds because it builds illusions. It convinces you that people are better than they truly are. It makes you interpret manipulation as friendship, betrayal as a mistake, disrespect as misunderstanding. Where a ruthless man would see danger, the good man sees only another chance to forgive. Where a cunning man would notice a rival's ambition, the good man assumes loyalty. This blindness is fatal. It allows enemies to advance while he stands unprepared. The danger is not only in others, but in how the good man views himself. He convinces himself that to be good is enough, that he does not need to be strong, that he does not need to be feared, that he does not need to act ruthlessly when required. He builds his entire identity around virtue, believing that goodness alone shields him. But when the inevitable betrayal comes, when the world reveals its teeth, he discovers too late that his goodness was never armor, but a veil that hid reality from him. Look at the rulers who fell because of this blindness. Those who trusted rivals because they believed loyalty could not be broken. Those who forgave traitors because they assumed gratitude would follow. Those who surrounded themselves with flatterers, mistaking false praise for true devotion. Their palaces fell not because they were weak in body, but because they were blind in spirit. They saw the world not as it was, but as they wished it to be, and in politics, such blindness is fatal. Even in the lives of ordinary men, the cost is no less destructive. The worker who trusts his employer to reward his loyalty without demanding recognition discovers he is easily replaced. The partner who believes love will erase repeated betrayal finds themselves abandoned. The friend who assumes loyalty will last forever without testing it wakes one day to an empty room. In all these cases, goodness blinded them to the truth that people act out of interest, not virtue. To see the world clearly requires stripping away illusions, even those that comfort us. It demands recognizing that goodness alone is not enough, that men are not angels, that loyalty is conditional, and that kindness, when unguarded, becomes weakness. The man who cannot see this will forever stumble in a world that devours the blind. Among the most dangerous qualities a man can possess in the struggle for power is predictability. To be predictable is to allow others to read your every move, to calculate your every reaction, to use your very nature against you. And goodness, when it dominates a man's character, makes him entirely predictable. For the good man cannot hide his intentions. He is bound to his virtue, and so his enemies know exactly how he will act, how he will respond, how he will restrain himself when ruthlessness is required. Imagine a ruler known above all else for his mercy. His subjects know he will forgive. His rivals know he will hesitate before punishment. His enemies know he will choose compassion over severity. With such knowledge, they can act freely. They can betray him, for he will pardon them. They can insult him, for he will restrain himself. They can plot against him, for he will hesitate to act decisively. His reputation for goodness makes his every response obvious, and once a man's responses are obvious, he is no longer a master of his fate, but a puppet in the hands of those who can manipulate him. Consider the general who is known for fairness. His soldiers know he will always divide spoils evenly, no matter the circumstance. Ambitious men under his command see an opportunity, they can grow lax. They can take more for themselves because they already know their leader will seek justice and balance, not swift discipline. The good general becomes a predictable general, and the predictable general is an easily defeated one. Or think of the man in private life who is known always to say yes. Every request, every favor, every demand. He obliges because he wants to be seen as kind, helpful, dependable. But those around him learn his pattern. They know that if they push, he will yield. If they demand, he will provide. If they guilt him, he will obey. His goodness has made him a slave to expectation, and because he is predictable, he is controlled. Predictability erodes authority because it removes the element of fear. Men do not fear what they can anticipate. They fear the uncertain, the unknown, the possibility of punishment or severity. The ruthless man, even if he shows mercy at times, is never predictable. For others do not know when his mercy will end and his cruelty will begin. This uncertainty keeps them cautious, obedient, respectful. But the good man, a chain to his virtue, removes all uncertainty. Everyone knows he will forgive. Everyone knows he will restrain himself. Everyone knows he will yield before conflict. And when fear is absent, respect soon follows. The cunning man understands this truth and uses it to his advantage. He does not let his actions become a pattern. At times he is generous, at times he is merciless. At times he speaks softly, at times he strikes without warning. His unpredictability keeps rivals uneasy, allies cautious, and enemies afraid. But the good man, desperate to be consistent in his virtue, becomes the opposite, entirely predictable, entirely easy to disarm. History is filled with rulers undone by this very flaw. Kings who forgave every insult until rebellion spread like fire. Leaders who trusted every promise until betrayal ended their reign. Generals who hesitated to punish deserters until their armies collapsed. Their goodness was not their shield but their downfall, because it allowed others to read them as easily as an open book. A man whose next move can be predicted is a man already defeated. Even in the quiet affairs of ordinary men, the law of predictability holds. The partner who always forgives infidelity teaches the other that betrayal carries no risk. The worker who never asks for more teaches his employer that he will accept whatever is given. The friend who always sacrifices teaches others that they can take endlessly without consequence. Each act of goodness, repeated without balance, sets a pattern, and every pattern, once established, becomes a chain that others can pull at will. Goodness binds a man to a single path, stripping him of flexibility, making him incapable of surprise, and robbing him of the power to inspire fear or awe. The world belongs not to those who can be read like a script, but to those who remain a mystery, whose actions cannot be easily calculated, whose decisions keep others uneasy. To be good in every situation is to be known in every situation, and to be known is to be controlled. Let us be clear, I do not condemn goodness entirely. Goodness has its place, but goodness, when wielded without calculation, destroys a man. The wise do not abandon it, they use it. They understand that the appearance of goodness is often more valuable than the possession of it. For men judge not by truth, but by what they see. They are satisfied with appearances, and few ever question them. Therefore, to appear merciful, honest, and kind when it suits your purpose is to gain trust, admiration, and loyalty, all without binding yourself to the chains of virtue. The mask of goodness is a weapon sharper than steel and subtler than poison. When a ruler dons it, he calms his subjects, lowers their suspicion, and wins their faith. They look upon him and see a merciful leader, a generous prince, a man devoted to their welfare. They do not see the calculation behind his eyes. They do not see that this mercy, this generosity, this honesty is chosen, not natural. It is displayed when useful, withdrawn when dangerous. The people blind to this are content to live under the illusion. In private life, the same principle holds. The cunning man who wears the mask of goodness wins trust with ease. He is invited into circles, confided in, respected, admired. Others open their hearts to him, believing his kindness genuine. But behind the mask, he remains vigilant, prepared to act with ruthlessness when required. His kindness is a tool, not a weakness. His mercy a strategy, not a chain. And because others believe him good, they lower their guard, allowing him to see what they hide, to exploit what they reveal, to strike when the opportunity presents itself. The mask of goodness serves also to disarm enemies. A rival expects treachery from the cruel man, but not from the man of apparent virtue. A competitor guards against the ambitious schemer, but not against the seemingly honest friend. The enemy who underestimates you because of your goodness is an enemy already defeated. For he prepares against the strike he expects, not the one you are ready to deliver. In this way, the mask of goodness becomes a cloak under which true ambition can flourish unseen. But beware, the mask must be worn convincingly. A poorly played display of goodness is worse than none at all, for hypocrisy once exposed breeds contempt faster than cruelty ever could. The prince must therefore study the art of performance. His kindness must appear genuine, his mercy sincere, his honesty unshakable. The illusion must be so complete that even the suspicious cannot pierce it. Only then does the mask serve its purpose, shielding his ruthlessness, cloaking his cunning, and making his enemies blind. History itself provides countless examples. Rulers who appeared merciful while plotting merciless campaigns. Leaders who spoke of honor while practicing deception. Statesmen who promised loyalty while preparing betrayal. Their masks of goodness fooled entire nations, and by the time the truth was revealed, their power was already secured. The people, eager to believe in virtue, embraced the illusion. And by the time they saw the iron fist behind the velvet glove, resistance was impossible. This is the hidden truth: goodness is most powerful when it is an act, not a habit. When you control it, rather than letting it control you. The man who knows when to appear merciful but strike without mercy, who knows when to appear honest but deceive without hesitation, who knows when to appear generous but withhold without guilt. This man is not bound by goodness. He commands it. He wears it like armor when needed, and removes it when it becomes a burden. The world is full of those who act purely out of goodness, and they are the easiest to control. But the one who wears the mask, the one who understands that appearances are stronger than truth, becomes untouchable. For men, blinded by what they see, give him their trust freely, never knowing that trust is the very key he uses to open their defenses and seize what he desires. So, what then is the lesson hidden in the folds of this philosophy? It is that goodness, while noble in the heart, is often costly in the arena of power. To be entirely good is to make oneself vulnerable to the cruelty of others, to surrender control to those who wield ruthlessness without hesitation. But to master goodness, to bend it, disguise it, and employ it strategically, is to rise above the traps that destroy ordinary men. Machiavelli never told us to abandon virtue altogether. He told us to command it, to use it when it serves us, and to discard it when it threatens us. The shocking truth is that the world does not reward pure goodness. It rewards effectiveness, cunning, and the ability to appear virtuous while keeping steel hidden beneath the cloak. Those who cling blindly to goodness become pawns, sacrificed in games they never understood. Those who recognize its cost and learn when to wield it and when to abandon it become rulers of their own fate. The choice, as always, is yours. Remain the good soul who is devoured by wolves, or become the calculating mind who wears goodness as armor while holding power firmly in your grasp.